police are after me again for a crime I don't even believe in. Yeah, the police are after me again. Yeah, the police are after me again for a crime I don't even believe in. Yeah, the police are after me, my friend. The police are after me, she said. Yeah, they held their gun to my head, but somehow I ducked, escaped, and fled the scene. Well, they already ran my ID. Yeah, they already ran my ID. They pulled me off the train in the Portland rain. Mid-November ain't the warmest ride, and the crater ain't the best place to hide, especially when you're riding suicide. Especially when you're riding suicide. Yeah, the police are after me again for a crime I don't even believe in. Yeah, the police are after me again. Yeah, the police are after me again for a crime I don't even believe in. Yeah, the police are after me, my friend. So I got back on when they were gone on the flagged old gondola. Then I spoke the resident in my bunk, cause the police didn't find it. Woke up in a mountain range, woke to a cold, wet, lonesome pain. And then the time it came to get the fuck off the train, because the police are after me again for a crime I don't even believe in. Yeah, the police are after me again. Yeah, the police are after me, my friend, for a crime I don't even believe in. Yeah, the police are after me again. She said the police are after me for being dirty, trespassing. They hate me cause I ain't clean, but I think they're the ones who are dirty.
And here we go. We're recording this episode. Hello, folks. Welcome to the Garret Schuelke podcast. I am your host, Garret Schuelke. And once again, we have another very special episode of the podcast. We're recording live here in Chicago at Bill's Bar and Burger. Originally, we were going to do the Billy Goat, but, well, long story short, I got kicked out of there after arguing with one of the clerks. That's something for later. We won't talk about that. Anyway, we're here in Chicago, and I'm here with another favorite person of mine. He is a writer, journalist, and cynic. He is the author of Red 7, published by Necro Publications, In the Arms of Nightmares, and holy shit, I did not write down the other one.
Oh, yeah, those two are fine, man.
What the fuck? Anyway.
And a bazillion articles.
Yep. He is Robert D, everyone.
Howdy.
Robert, thank you again for being on, man.
Thank you for having me. It's always cool to meet new people, and I especially get to talk about whatever, man. I never shut up.
Yep, and there's something I do particularly want to talk to you about today.
What's that?
Well, you sir, are a native Chicagoan. You're from here.
That I am.
And that's, matter of fact, you're visiting right now from your new home, Austin.
Yeah.
Yep. That's what I would like to talk to you about today. Chicago. Because I am a Chicago fanboy. I've been coming here pretty steady since 2010. And I would like to talk about that with you, obviously.
I was born and bred here, man. I was born probably where downtown Chicago right now. I think I was born a mile and a half from here at Mercy Hospital. That's like seated right on the lake. And I grew up in Canaryville, which is just 7 blocks south of where the White Sox play. And then I lived in Marquette Park. I went to Oak Forest, then I went to Lockport for high school, which is outside of Joliet. And then as soon as I was on my 22nd birthday, I moved to Little Italy. I lived in that neighborhood, and I watched the White Sox win the World Series and in that neighborhood. And that was in 2005. And then I moved to Wicker Park, back when Wicker Park was crazy cheap. Like, I had a place in Wicker Park that was... People don't even believe me. We had a 3-bedroom apartment off Ashland and Division. It was a garden apartment with off-street parking, all utilities included, for $1,200.
Holy shit, dude.
You could never have that. And then I moved to New Orleans, and then I moved to Austin.
Well, I guess we nearly blew through about 3 questions that I've had.
Well, no, I mean, it's fun when you talk about Chicago, because, like, the Chicago pedigree of things, but you always have to list off all the places.
Yeah. Well, let's just start right at the very beginning, man. Okay, you said that you grew up, which neighborhood?
Canaryville.
Yeah, what was the atmosphere like for you growing up during this time?
Chicago's a really Canaryville's a very working class Irish neighborhood. Everybody's grandparents are from Ireland there. So it's extraordinarily still a very, very Irish neighborhood. Like,
Are you Irish?
Yeah, I'm 100% Irish. My great-grandparents are all from Ireland.
Half Irish, half German. Throw in a bunch of Polish in there
Yeah,
for me.
Schuelke. That's a sounds like a fine English last name.
Oh no, it's this kind of last name where I can do a stupid Nazi joke about it, like, my great grandfather was here. Then
Yeah.
do something like that.
Yeah, no, everybody's great grandparents or grandparents are from Ireland and Canaryville, so like everybody's crazy. I like St. Patrick's Day is just as big a deal as Christmas. So everybody's houses are decked out with shamrocks and green and everything. And so it's just a working class. Everybody's like bricklayers, pipe fitters, cops, firefighters, like 100% a working class neighborhood.
And how about your family? Were they in any particular profession?
My mom has just always done EA work, like executive assistant. Like if you're like some like rich, powerful person, she's the brains behind the operation. She's always can plan anything. She can find anything that you're looking for. So she helps like super rich, powerful people like do their jobs. She's like the number one. And my old man has worked at Chicago Metallic my whole life. So he's been at the same spot loading trucks for like, Jesus, almost 40 years. So he's been there a long time.
Still going at it?
Yeah, he's just waiting to retire. He's just waiting to retire. He's over it.
Yeah. My dad's on the verge of retirement as well. He's 61 and he works at the cement plant in my hometown, which
Yeah.
is the big employer around there, along with our hospital.
Yeah.
I worked there for 2 summers, and I was like, yeah, I don't ever want to do this. I think I'd rather be a bohemian writer.
Sure. It was weird when I like being from the South Side. Is like when you tell people that you're like, I was like, I'm gonna be a writer. And they're like, what the fuck is a writer? Like, what are you gonna do? Like, how does a writer make money? Like the idea of getting paid to write. I mean, I came from a working class place where guys fix cars and pour cement and build buildings. Like writing and reading wasn't exactly, their MO.
So was this the neighborhood where you decided or got interested in writing?
No, I went to high school. Well, I'd always done really well in school, and I hit a wall. This is a long, drawn-out answer, but it kind of all impacts each other. I always did well in school, and then I hit a wall in 3rd grade. I was doing A+ work, and then in 3rd grade, they were like, why did you just drop off? Because I have no cognitive skills with math. Like, I have something called dyscalculia, and I don't know what 6 times 7 is. I have no idea what it is. And like time, numbers, all of that shit doesn't make sense to me. But I overcompensated somehow because I was really good at English and good at writing when I was a kid. And so I was reading Stephen King books when I was in 3rd grade. And I was set the school record for how many book reports you could do in a year. And so I did that, and then that gave me the interest in reading and stuff like that. But then in '94, when I saw Pulp Fiction, I was 13, and I saw that like in the theaters. I saw Pulp Fiction, The Crow, Akira, Mallrats, Clerks, like all
Akira.
that. Like that summer, like Vampire Hunter D. And so like seeing all these movies in like one transformative summer, like we were into punk rock and metal, and grunge was in full bloom. And so like that was a transformative summer of like kind of who you are. And seeing Pulp Fiction kind of change everything, because up to that point, like, I had seen all those movies, but that's like, movies to me were Terminator and Star Wars, but seeing Pulp Fiction was like, holy shit, somebody's
First time seeing Quentin Tarantino?
Yeah, and we saw Reservoir Dogs that summer too, but Pulp Fiction just changed everything for me, how I perceived movies and how art could be. And so I kept that seed in there, and by the time I was in high school, I kind of had this idea in my head, because I was already playing in hardcore bands and stuff, but I had this idea in my head.
That is one question that I wanted to ask you. When you're growing up, you just talked about it just now. What scenes were you part of? Like music, literary?
No, it was all music, all punk rock, hardcore, and metal kids. Like when I was in high school, it was weird because, well, when I lived in Oak Forest, all the metal kids and everybody like punk kind of gravitated to each other. But then when I got into high school, my high school was so big. There was like 700 kids that went to my high school for my class, and everybody who liked, if you were industrial, punk, metal, like new wave, anything, we all gravitated to each other. So there wasn't these like sub cliques. There's just everybody who liked outsider culture, artists, bohemian kids. Everybody is in one kind of small universe, and we all did that. And so we were so insular to everything that, you know, like who was popular. We didn't give a fuck. All we cared about was what our crews were doing, and we were all playing in bands, and then we were hooking up with the kids from other schools and playing shows with them. That's what all we cared about, was playing shows and stuff, and everything else came second.
Okay, were you still in the neighborhood you grew up in at this time?
No, that was in high school. That was out in the suburbs. My parents bought a house. We call it the Chicago Choice, where when you're a parent, if you live in the city, you can either buy a house out in the suburbs and your kids go to the good schools for free, or you can have a decent house in the city and pay it through an arm and a leg to let your kids go to like a private school. Because depending on what part of town, I grew up on the south side, so the public high schools aren't the best. And so they wanted more room and everything else. We ended up, I lived in this suburb called Lockport for like 6 years, and I went to high school there, and that's where I met all my best friends. They're still my best friends today.
All right, so, you grew up, you engaged in the punk rock, hardcore, and metal scenes. Okay, where does writing come into this? Like,
well, when I was in like that high school, I was reading a lot, and hardcore kind of taught me about politics, and it taught me, because the politics is ingrained in the music, and that taught me more about, because like where I grew up isn't exactly like the most like thought-provoking place. It's more like, it's a hard-working community. There's nothing wrong with that. It's just what I was getting into, like wanting to read the newspaper, to read my like Studs Terkel's columns, like Irv Kupson, and reading these old Tribune and Sun-Times articles. I was doing something, I guess, different than the people around me, and listening to the hardcore taught me about like respecting other people's religions and like vegetarianism and social justice and stuff. So I was going that way, and then as I was reading those books and reading all these different things throughout the years through music that people were into.
oh,
I had the Impossible Burger.
yeah, I just had this one.
Thank you.
All right, have fun.
Thanks, dude.
Sorry for the interruption, folks. Our food just came.
And
And it's totally not the Chicago food you've been devouring this entire weekend.
Thank God. I needed a break.
Yeah, it sounds like you've been going pretty hard this weekend, too, by the way.
It's never, when I'm coming to town, it's never quiet. I'm busy the whole time. It's not a vacation for me. It's like, when I leave here, I'm going to go to my mom's house, and I'm going to see my brothers, and I'm going to see my niece. And
yeah, all your family still lives here?
yeah, everybody still lives here.
Very quickly, I guess, let's just detour. You saw the Misfits last night.
Yes, sir, I did.
How was that?
It was amazing. That was exactly what I always wanted.
Thank you.
I've been a diehard Misfits fan since I was about 10 years old, and to get to see them do it with Danzig was...
Oh, Danzig was there.
Oh, yeah. This was the one show that they're going to play. That they just announced that they're playing in LA, but they're only doing like one show a year. And we planned this over a year ago. I was here in June, and then in July they announced that they were doing the Chicago show, and I told my wife that this was my Christmas gift if she was cool, and she was cool. My wife has been very gracious with letting me come and do this thing that childhood me. Like, I cried, I was so happy.
Yeah. Have you been paying attention to Danzig's Facebook presence at all lately?
No, I know he's doing a movie, right?
Well, no, it's not that. You see, seriously, look this up later. But someone created a fake Danzig account, and well, pretty much put a bunch of stuff like him in a Rasta hat. Talks about how much he loves smoking weed. They photoshopped him with Guy Fieri in there.
That's amazing.
And just really explicit stuff, and it's hilarious. Just check it out.
That's funny.
Yeah. Okay, back to it. All right, and you already named off all the neighborhoods pretty fast there. Like, in total, how many areas of Chicago did you live in before you moved away?
Okay. 1, 2, 6.
And
They're all predominantly, minus Wicker Park was all on the south side.
and out of all of them, which one would you say is your favorite?
Old Wicker Park.
Now that's a very good transition. Let's get into Wicker Park, in fact, because that's a place that one of my favorite places here in Chicago that I visit. Thank you.
Yeah, I know what it's
Along with actually my top so far is Lincoln Park, because I've stayed there all the time. I stayed there this weekend at the Chicago Getaway Hostel. You know, I also like Lakeview / Wrigleyville, Boys Town.
Shudder.
Shudder? Is this a reference I'm not getting?
No, I never liked those neighborhoods.
Ouch.
I get the appeal, man. I'm from here. You know, like
Yeah.
Lakeville used to be so cool when we were kids. When we were kids in the 90s, we would come up to Lakeview because it had the alley, it had Punkin' Donuts, which was the Dunkin' Donuts on the corner of Clark and
Clark and Belmont.
Clark and Belmont.
Yep.
And though that used to be there, and then Estelle's was not Estelle's. The place to go get like vegan food was right there, and it was a really cool neighborhood. With like the only thing there now is Metro, and Metro will be gone soon. We'll figure out some way to turn it into a fucking Cubs bar or something. But back in the day, that place was like Lakeview was awesome, and it had all these like art studios, and it had all these like affordable housing, and it was such a cool like vibrant neighborhood. And now I go up there and I'm like, ugh, it's not the same. And like Wicker Park, when I lived in Wicker Park, it was all these like.
Yeah. When did you live in Wicker Park? Like, what are the years?
I think I moved to Wicker Park in 2004, 2005.
Mm-hmm.
So it was a long time ago. When I lived in Wicker Park, it was cheap. There were all kinds of like artist communities. Kanye West lived in Wicker Park when I lived in Wicker Park. The cool kids.
Really?
Yeah, well, everybody. It was the artistic neighborhood that was cheap and up and coming back then. So
did you ever see Kanye?
Probably. We used to go to these like parties. We go to this bar, Tuman's, that I went to yesterday. Tuman's in Ukrainian Village, and Matt Rowan would DJ, and it was like all punk rock kids, but having like a dance party in a bar. It was wild, and it was like so cheap, and it was fun, but you could never do that now. It was like breaking every fire code possible, packing it out with people, just dancing. Like he'd be in the middle of playing like R. Kelly's remix to Ignition at like 2 o'clock in the morning, then drop 10 minutes to Downtown by the Get Up Kids, and everybody would be losing their mind. And
Nice.
but we would go to these parties, like they would do that, and then like Flostradamus had just started, the Cool Kids had just started, like Kanye was just becoming, like he wasn't even Kanye yet. He barely even had a record out. And
This was before the college dropout. He blew up.
yeah, he was still here. He wasn't even in New York yet. And all these different things, and all these people lived here, and it was cool. But that Wicker Park era was fun, and now it's different, you know. Not that it's bad. It's not what it was.
Oh yeah, I mean, I was lucky enough to attend the Double Door when it was still there, and I followed the drama until it eventually got shut down. Now I think it's relocating somewhere up north, which I'm glad it's still gonna be around, but it's just not the same.
Nothing is ever the same when they move. Like they moved Belmont Army Surplus used to be on Belmont Army Surplus, and now it's over in Wicker Park, which is cool, and they got that building, but the exact same thing that happened to them on Belmont is going to happen over there.
Is there anything about Chicago now that you do like?
Oh,
I'm not being condescending either.
No, I'm
sincerely curious because, like I said, I'm a fanboy. Been going here since 2010, and I love the place. And I took And I totally believe you when you talk about how different it was. But I guess it's just hard for me to connect being an outsider.
All things change, man. Like, all cities move, and if you're not evolving, you're dying. And I love Chicago, and I'm proud to be from here. There's the best people. They're really warm. We can be assholes, but for the most part,
Oh, I know. I just talked to an asshole a few minutes ago at
Yeah.
the Billy Goat.
I mean, they can be a little asshole-ish, but for the most part, Chicago's a great place. I mean, the weather sucks, but
Ladies and gentlemen, it's supposed to be spring here in the Midwest, but yesterday, wow, rain, snow, then it turned to sleet.
and
Wow.
today's beautiful.
Go figure.
Um,
You fool. You thought it would be spring, but it's still winter.
No, I love Chicago. I love the White Sox. I love talking about the White Sox.
Yeah, you actually were talking about the White Sox on their program this weekend, right?
I was on Mario Smith's show on Lumpin' Radio.
Boy, what a downgrade, huh? First you were on an actual radio show, now you're on a podcast with some guy from Michigan.
No, I'll do anything, man. I like talking to people, and I like, connecting on stuff. I think talking is fun.
Same here, brother.
But there's a lot to love about Chicago. It's a great place. It's an extraordinarily well-rounded city, and I'm proud to be from here. I just wouldn't live here anymore.
You know what, let's get to that. When did you leave Chicago?
2007?
Yeah, why did you move? Any particular reason?
I left Chicago because I was getting really serious about writing, and at that point, I got out of journalism school in 2003, and this is pre-internet boom, and so we didn't have the things we have now. Like, you had to either work for an advertising agency, forget trying to get in the Trib or the Sun Times. Like, that was my high watermark, was to work for the Sun Times. That was today. I literally was walking past Tribune Tower and go, one day I'm going to get in this paper. And it's always been that, like, watermark. Some of the writers that I grew up reading that I loved were in those papers. Like, I'm a gigantic Mike Royko fan. And Studs Terkel, Cup. I like Jay Mariotti when he was here. And Jay Mariotti's a piece of shit, but I liked him when he was here. And
Wait, okay, I recognize the first two, but who's this guy?
Jay Mariotti? Jay Mariotti is, he had the back page of the Sun Times, and he had, like, a lot of hot takes on kind of what was happening in sports, on Chicago sports predominantly.
Oh, okay.
And he was great. I mean, I can't remember what he did to get kicked out of Chicago because I was already gone. But he got kicked out, and he had, like, a cherry gig. He had the back page of the Sun Times. First sports section was his. And I don't remember how he fucked it up. But I liked Mariotti. But for me, the watermark was always working at one of the two big ones. But I'm a Sun Times guy, so that's what I would preferred. But now it would be an honor to be in either of them.
Oh yeah, I used to be a journalist, and the main reason I quit simply because I couldn't get a job anywhere. I tried, and after a while, it's like, you know what, fuck this. I'm just gonna work this job I'm doing now and concentrate on my writing.
Yeah, to me, I was so obsessed with writing, and I was, like, losing my faith in Chicago to get a job because no doors were opening. I was getting really pissed off that I couldn't get anywhere, and all I wanted to do was write. And so I was working at the Chicago Board of Trade.
Oh, really?
I worked there, and yeah, I've seen all kinds of, like, all that Wolf of Wall Street type shit. Totally true. I've seen all of it.
I took part in the Occupy movement, including here in Chicago. So yeah, we were camped out in front of the Board of Trade. Yeah, that was wild. Yeah. So anyway, all right. So you left Chicago in 2007.
Yeah, 2007 I moved to New Orleans.
Yeah, actually, I usually do this at the beginning of every show. I talk about how I first met someone or got into them, and that's how I got into you. Is because I listened to a podcast called The JDO Show.
Yeah.
By fellow writer J. David Osborne. Paula. Yeah, I remember you talking a little bit about New Orleans.
Yeah, JDO's a good dude.
Yeah, he's a cool guy. I gotta get back. I gotta start marathoning his podcast again.
Yeah, you should come down to Texas. He lives in El Paso, and I live in Austin. There's a bunch of dudes there's a lot of great writers down in Texas. There's like Max Boots down there, JDO's down there,
Gabino.
Gabino's there,
I'm
Andrew
actually-
Hilbert there.
He's actually gonna be at Stoker Con.
Yeah.
2 weeks in Grand Rapids, where I'm from. So I'm gonna hopefully meet him, Brian Keene,
Yeah.
a few others.
Brian Keene's cool. I know him.
Nice.
They'll
Anyway,
be in town for Killer Con here soon. And I'll see all those dudes. I see Gabino and Max and Andrew Hilbert, Kelby Losack, and John Wayne Comunale. I see all those guys pretty regularly. Kelby and John Wayne are down in Houston, and so we kind of always hook up with each other when we do readings. We always look out for one another. But
wow, I have to say I'm impressed. You really devoured your meal.
I was hungry. I was out drinking like all night, so I was just starving.
Yeah, I got like half my burger here.
Um,
Anyway, New Orleans. All
Yeah,
right,
I moved.
there.
We were going to New Orleans a lot. Me and my best friend were like there all the time, and we were going like 4 times, 6 times, because everybody I'd ever looked up to did time in New Orleans. It was like Bukowski was there, Burroughs was there, Faulkner was there. Who else was down there? Tennessee Williams. All these all the beat guys. Kerouac was there for a little bit, and I loved the Beat generation. So, growing up on them. And then going to New Orleans with no money when we were like in our early 20s and figuring it out, we just kind of just kept going. And then one day I got laid off and I was like, dude, I'm moving to New Orleans. Fuck this. And we just kind of made it happen. We didn't have any money. We just did it. I was like, I'm going to write for a living and I'm just going to figure this out. I had $300. My parents were super supportive. I'd already put a deposit down on to get a place. I paid for that deposit, and then I had $300 and all my stuff in my car, and I left. And I was like, I'm going to come out of this a professional writer. Whatever I do, I will just take shit jobs, and I will figure this thing out. And so for 5.5 years I lived there, and I learned how to copyright there, which is my day job is I'm a copywriter, and I write for a living.
Warehouse clerk. My
Yeah.
day job.
It is what it is, man. It's an honest buck.
I guess so.
I learned to copyright, and I made all my mistakes because none of the newspapers pay you, so they'll let you write for anything. So I wrote for Offbeat. What else did I write for? Offbeat. Where You At? Gambit. All those kind of things. I got pieces in them, and so by getting in all these places, it kind of kept getting experience, and I ended up being the head writer of The Quarter-At, which was a service industry magazine, and all these experience things, and people saying yes, gives you the bravado to keep going, because people are saying yes to you. It makes you want to get better. And so I was working on Bourbon Street, but I was still writing and doing stuff. So
Isn't that the famous street where they have the big Mardi Gras parades?
not on it, but it's Mardi Gras is on. The parades aren't on it, but the people are celebrating on Bourbon. Yes.
Okay. All right.
So,
All right. So to keep this with Chicago, how would you compare the two? Having grew up here, Chicago, then moved to New Orleans. How would you compare the two?
I wouldn't compare the two at all. I mean, they're good people in both places, good food, but beyond food and people, they're nothing alike. Chicago people have people who are from here, not transplants, but people who are from here have a very, very strong working mentality. A good hard day's work in Chicago, a handshake agreement is a handshake agreement in this town. If I give you my word, your word is what you're worth here.
I kind of did notice that when you messaged me yesterday. Hey, I just want to keep you updated.
Yeah.
I don't like people leaving, which I very much appreciate.
Yeah, I'm not here to fuck around and waste people's time. If I say I'm gonna do something, I'm gonna do it. And if I can't do it, I will at least let you know through the loop that I'm doing it too. But that was being raised here. I'm respectful of people's time. I know I don't try to be late for shit, and if I'm late, you're gonna know why I'm late. And I'm gonna tell you 30 minutes before I have to be there that I'm running late. And not that's just the shit that you're ingrained with here. And if you have it's hey man, we have an agreement. Here's a handshake. Let's have a beer. That's as good as that shit on paper. Because to hear currency means if you walk into a bar and everybody knows that you're a good dude, and if you don't got a buck in your pocket, that bar is gonna buy you some drinks. Because everybody, you're a good dude. That's how the neighborhood bar works around here. You know, nobody wants to be known as that piece of shit. It's not how this city works, especially on the south side. Now, but I said for like transplants and stuff, it's a little different. But like when you're from here, that's how that shit goes. And in New Orleans, people are great, but people are also hiding from things there. Like if you're from New Orleans, there's a lot of things that potentially you have a very like up and down sense of morality. They party really fucking hard. They drink a lot, and they're lazy. They are lazy people. They're not. I love them. Some of my best friends in the world. One of my dudes from New Orleans is sitting at the bar right now, and it's a place.
I did invite them on here, but I guess maybe it's a good thing they hear that one.
No, he'll tell you the same thing. It's just the work ethic isn't the same. It's not the same. They're about partying and hanging out. Versus Chicago's like, dude, you put your nose down to the grindstone and just keep going. Like, it's a different mentality. Like, New Orleans people are fantastic. It's just working isn't a priority to them. They're just like, it's how can we get rent paid and have a good time.
Was this like a culture shock to you, or did you like just?
No, I mean, there was like a little bit of expectancy in the sense that I'd spent a lot of time there. But then once I got there and was like actually in it, you got tired of like, the sewer systems don't work. Nothing's done right. Like when you see like electrical in a building, it's never done right. And it's like just half-ass slapped together. And
were you living there when Katrina hit?
I got there after Katrina, but I was in New Orleans 6 months after Katrina. And it was like, I remember we went to a show at Bank Street Bar, and we like watched a punk band play with generators, and they were selling beers out of the cooler with flashlights. So that was fun. Everybody, you can't keep them down, man.
Yeah. When did you leave New Orleans?
I left New Orleans in 2013.
Any reason for that?
Yeah, it's kind of like twofold. One, my wife, we had our first son, Jackson, and we didn't want to raise him there just because like schools suck. It's just she was from Austin, and Austin was just an easier move in the sense of better school, safer. There's a lot to do for kids, and if for an adult, it's a very enriching environment. If you go to Austin and you go, I can't find anything to do, you fucked up. There's more to do in Austin than there is in Chicago. And
really,
oh, it's insane. It's insane.
Bold claim, sir.
Yeah, it's insane. It's
okay.
You can't even keep up with how much stuff is there.
Yeah.
But I'd hit a ceiling in New Orleans where I was getting published on places outside of the city. I knew how to copyright. The books were like one of my books was out, and I needed a change in the sense that like I plateaued in New Orleans. I couldn't do anything more than I did.
Okay.
And
all right. Very quickly, when you left, was there still like any visible damage from Katrina still? That was
when I left.
Yeah.
In some spots.
Some spots,
Sure.
Because I know that from mostly paying attention, watching documentaries, all that stuff, it's obviously like every place else, you know, the poor, lower income neighborhoods, neighborhoods of color, you know, they get fucked over in all these things.
Yeah, I mean, it was, the city banded together really well. I mean, there's like, out in New Orleans East, there's plenty of damage still out there, but like New Orleans proper, so the city's kind of broken into, there's New Orleans and New Orleans East. New Orleans East, like, I have been to like 3 times. Like, it's just it's like a whole different universe. Like, I don't really know much about New Orleans. They're almost like two different cities. But the East, that still got some damage, but New Orleans proper, everybody kind of put their banded together and like tried to remake it the best they could.
All right. Well, let's get on to Austin then. You already pointed out one thing, but how would you compare Austin to Chicago?
They're not really anything alike, to be honest with you. They're very different places. Austin is very outdoorsy. It's super laid back. Again, it's not like Chicago's a very like driven working class city, and Austin's not. I mean, Austin's just super laid back. It's like do your best, get the job done, but definitely have a beer in the sunshine when you're done with it.
Yeah. That is one difference, the weather.
Oh my God.
Yeah, you straight up said in a Facebook post, I don't know how people can live here.
I am not equipped for winter, especially after 11 years of not living in it, and I'm perfectly happy. Put on some cargo camo shorts, flip flops, and a black T-shirt, and that's my summer uniform, and I'm good with that.
All right, guys. Anything else for today?
No, I think we're good. Are you?
No, I'm fine.
All right. Well, when you're ready.
All right, thanks much.
No, Austin's great though. It's like if you want music, if you like punk rock, if you like country music, if you like metal, like blues, rockabilly, we have it all. And the music, that's all the music I like. So, if you like motorcycles and guitar shops and places to buy records, we have all that. And food's insane. I can go get, when I go to a show, the thing that's cool about Austin is you can go get like a tall boy at a show for $2.50 still. You can get
nice.
You can get a couple of tacos at a truck for like 2 tacos and a drink is like $7. It's still the biggest problem about Austin is housing. There's a lot of people want to live there, so housing prices have gone up.
Same here in Chicago, dude.
Yeah,
that's one reason because I would love to live here. I really have. I really would. And I've job searched. I've tried to find housemates. I've even scoped out neighborhoods I would want to live in. None of them are within Chicago proper. No way.
You could find places. You could live in Bridgeport. You can still get places around there.
That's a good point. That's probably the closest I'd determine I could.
Yeah,
probably in Chicago is Bridgeport.
You could live in Bridgeport. You could probably find something in Humboldt Park. It just depends on what part of town you want to live in, what you need. But you could definitely find something in Bridgeport.
I know, but with the way I know the CTA now, I'm pretty familiar with it. Mm-hmm. And of course, with Ubers and Lyfts and that, I would be more comfortable now living a little ways out.
Yeah.
And, it's not. Plus, I guess being older, in my 30s now compared to my 20s, where it's I want to be right there in the middle of action.
I know how that
Chicago, motherfucker. Now it's I can relax a little bit.
If I still lived here, I would live in Bridgeport, or I'd be living in near Brookfield Zoo, around there. And that's probably where I'd be in Forest Park.
Oh, that's another place I was good. That's another place I looked into.
Forest Park?
Yep. I actually first learned about that because I visited the graves of Emma Goldman, the Haymarket Martyrs.
Yeah.
Yep. That's how that place got my attention. Along with Melrose Park, Stone Park, all those parks out near O'Hare.
Yeah, there's lots of parks and there's
they all look the same.
Yeah, that they do. Got the Evergreen Park down by me. There's a lot of those.
Okay, well, I've asked you about the comparisons. How about we just do a ranking?
Sure.
From 1 to 3, how would you rank? How would you rank Chicago, New Orleans, Austin? If you had to rank them based on just your favorite to least favorites.
Oh man, that's hard.
The hard-hitting questions here on the Garret Schuelke podcast.
Yeah, that's hard because they all have such different things that I can't. I physically, that's really hard because they each have very special places to me for different things. My career would not be my career. The most important choice I made my entire life was to move to New Orleans. That defined my entire life. Everything that I do, who I am today, is because I moved to New Orleans. So, but there's things about New Orleans that drive me fucking crazy. So, in Austin, if I didn't move to Austin, I wouldn't have my career now either. It's an evolution. I couldn't have got there because I'd done so much in New Orleans. So it's hard, And here is where it all started.
Yep. All right. So how long have you been in Austin then?
It'll be 6 years on Halloween.
All right. You still think you're gonna be there for some time?
Yeah. My wife's never leaving.
Oh, okay. Well, that's a good reason to stay then.
No, man. It's she's never leaving, and she's a proud Texan. She loves her state. She loves living in the area. We're 45 minutes from her mom, and you know what? Like, everything I need is there. Like, I don't.
She's been to Chicago, right?
Yeah, we've been together 8 years.
How's she like it?
She likes it in the summer. She hates it in this weather. She does not do well in anything other than like above 70. She hates cold weather. She definitely likes Chicago. It's just the weather's got to be good. When it's nice, she's all in. But what she was seeing yesterday, she's sending me photos of my kids, and it's like 85 and sunny, and I'm covered in snow. I'm like running through sleet. So yeah, she's cool with Chicago.
All right. Well, I guess what's the word? Hypothetical, I think it is.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. If you wanted or could or had to, could you move back to Chicago?
Could I be a snowbird, or would I have to live here full time?
Live here full time, work, right?
Yeah, I could. It would have to be like a payday, and I'd have to be making like sick money to justify it. But I mean, I could fall back into the patterns. Like, as soon as I got back, like, I started driving back around, and it immediately comes right back, like, knowing everything of like where to go and where to park, where to go get food, and it just like, yeah, there's a ton of stuff that I don't know because I've been gone for a long time, but the stuff you know, it doesn't go away. So I still parallel park. I can still, get into places and stuff. It would come right back to me. It's more or less just.
Think you could handle dips?
Oh, yeah, dude. One time.
I love bringing up dips to native Chicago.
I had a spot out in front of my house in Wicker Park, and I fucking cleared this thing out. I'm a strong believer in dibs. Chicago tradition. Fuck that. I don't care if it doesn't make any sense. But I had 2 orange parking cones that I kept in my trunk, and I cleared a spot out right in front of our house, put the parking cones there, and then I was out getting groceries. I was out by my mom's or something like that, and I came home, and somebody had thrown my parking cones on the
classy
on the sidewalk and took my spot. I went into my house. I parked my car, and it was crazy fucking snow. I went into my house. I wrote this letter. I was like, "You fucking scumbag piece of shit. I hope you fucking die." Like, I put like a whole letter, and I stuck it right. And I mean, it was like not cool. And then I pissed all over their door handles. I was all.
There we go. That's what I was waiting for.
I had pissed all over their door handles. And I was like, "You motherfucking piece of shit."
Okay, because I told you earlier, I come to Chicago now through. I park in Michigan City, Indiana, and I take the South Shore line.
Yeah.
It's a great setup. I love it.
Yeah.
But before I used to drive and mention Bridgeport, I had a friend there that I visited twice. We went twice to attend a Critical Mass, that big bike event that goes around country. Yeah, and afterwards, even after he moved out and we had our falling out, I would still park at Bridgeport because it's pretty much the only place I knew in Chicago that I could park without a permit or anything.
Yeah.
But that's the one thing that I was still worried about, even the winters, like the whole dips thing. Because I didn't want to come back and find like my windshield smashed or something.
Yeah, I was pissed. I was so pissed, man.
So how did he respond?
Oh, he didn't respond, but I was like, "You fucking piece of shit."
Ever park there again?
I don't know. But that was the only time I ever had that problem with the dibs thing.
Okay. Well, you know what? Let's talk about Chicago traditions. We talked about dibs, and when we were setting up this interview, you're like, "Oh, I'm near the Sears Tower." So, what is it to you, Sears or Willis Tower?
Sears Tower, 100%. I'll never call Willis Tower. I would never.
I wouldn't call it Willis Tower because it's Sears, but whenever I think Willis Tower, I think Wesley Willis.
Yeah. Man, I saw Wesley Willis.
Oh, dude, tell me.
I saw
How
him.
was that?
He used to play at Fireside. We grew up going to Fireside Bowl, which was our CBGBs back in the day. And it's still there. It's on Fullerton. I was in the bar across the street, Bob Inn, last night.
Oh.
We used to go to Fireside all the time, and he'd play. It was Wesley Willis and the Imposters or whatever was his band. The Wesley Willis Experience, that was what it was. And we'd go up to him, and you'd see him at shows, and he was selling his artwork and stuff. And he'd grab you, and he'd grab you real hard, just a big dude. And he'd grab you real close, and "Let me hear you say rock." And you'd be like, "Rock?" And he said, "Let me hear you say roll." And you'd have to rock, and he's headbutting you And you'd have to say it.
he had like that bump because he just head bumped people so
Yeah.
much.
You'd have to, and he'd like literally grab you with like bear hug, and he'd be like, let me just say rock, and he'd have to be like rock, and he'd be like, let me say roll, and you'd do it, and then he'd let you go and say, all right, and then like all that stuff, and he would sell his artwork at all the punk shows, and he'd play some of them, and he'd be like, play Kurt Cobain is dead, like, and he had the band. I've seen him do it with just the keyboard and with the band.
Yeah, I listened to his album that Alternative Tentacles put out, and it's literally the same.
Oh yeah.
Beat, which when I listened to, I thought like, wow, really? The same thing the whole time?
Nirvana is a great band. They were cool. I hope you would like them. In 1994, they released Nevermind. Kurt Cobain was a famous singer. And then Kurt Cobain is dead.
I heard, of course, Rock and Roll McDonald's.
Yeah.
I think it was from the documentary Super Size Me I first heard.
Is it?
Yep.
Yeah, probably.
And of course, mine was the ones I obviously like are him being up whatever superhero that's like making out with his girlfriend, or saying whatever disgusting stuff to ward off the demons in his head.
Yeah, he was an interesting cat, man.
There's actually a tribute album for Wesley Willis, and it's all serious too.
That's funny.
Including someone behind us, so I'll whisper a little bit. Someone did a serious cover of "Suck a Cheetah's Dick."
I haven't even thought about it.
That blew my mind when I'm listening to that. I'm like,
I haven't even thought about Wesley Willis in a while. He was fun. That was a cool time.
yeah, the best interview I heard, Gel Biafra, when he was being interviewed by Nardwar. Nardwar always has his best interview with Gel Biafra. Nardwar asked about Wesley Willis. He said, you know what? If Wesley Willis was still alive when Obama was elected, I'll tell you what he'd be doing. He would be at the very back of the celebration rally, screaming his lungs out. Screaming, Obama is president. We have a black man in the office. He's going to rock Saddam all the way back to Russia.
Yeah. Man.
Oh, God.
I definitely remember. And Wesley Willis was fun. There's a couple of things like that. I'm like, again,
Dude, that's awesome.
Having been grow up here, like, to go to shows in the 80s, not the 80s, the 90s and the early 2000s, there was so much good stuff here. So much good stuff. It was all...
Okay, two last things for cultural stuff with Chicago. Ketchup on hot dogs, yay or nay?
No.
No?
That's... No.
And taking you been to the Wiener Circle.
I've been in the Wiener, yeah. Like, I don't get over there much, but I've been over there for sure. I had a friend that used to live across the street back when it was affordable to live over there.
I've been there once, and yeah, you think the guy from the Billy Goat Tavern was a dickhead.
Yeah, that whole thing is just, I get it, it's the shtick, and the food is good, but like, I don't know, man. I'm just trying to get a hot dog. I ain't trying to get yelled at when I can get a good hot dog anywhere around town.
Yeah.
It's the ketchup on the hot dog thing.
Yeah.
If you want to eat it like a 5-year-old, that's fine, but would I put it on a hot dog? No. I prefer mine with all the shit on there.
I'm like Sonic the Hedgehog. I'm a chili dog guy.
I like chili dogs, chili cheese dog. You ever had a mother-in-law?
Which one's that?
Oh, let's check it out. You ever go to like a Southside place, ask for a mother-in-law. What it is it's a hot dog bun, and then they take a Tom Tom tamale and they put it in there and they cover it with chili and cheese and eat it with a fork.
Wow, that serves a different world.
Yeah, go to like if you're ever in Bridgeport, you go to a hot dog place, ask for a mother-in-law.
Nice.
And they ain't gonna know it up here. But you go on Southside and you ask for it, they know what the fuck that is.
All right. Final cultural question. We talked a little bit about the suburbs. People that live in the suburbs, bigger Chicagoland, I guess. Are they real Chicagoans?
They're not real Chicagoans, no. I mean, they're not in the city, but...
Okay. That's another great online debates I usually see, mostly on like some weird Chicago website like Wildest Videos or Cop Watches or something.
Mm-hmm.
Someone will like either make a really sincere comment or they'll make a really troll, rude comment. And there'll always be one person be like, bitch, you're from this suburb. You're not really Chicagoan. Shut the fuck up.
No, it's the thing about like the suburbs versus the city is yes, the suburbs are a part of the greater Chicagoland area, and does their culture matter? Yeah, it does, but it's not the city. It's totally different.
Right.
Like,
So
the suburbs are like so bland and white and not diverse, and every time black people move there, they just keep moving further west, and it's this. I just got no love for the suburbs. They serve their purpose for what they are to some people, but if I lived here, there's zero chance I would live in the suburbs.
so let's say like a year from now, I do move here to Chicago, and I message you like, "Hey Rob, great news! I moved to Melrose Park. I'm a Chicagoan now."
Yeah, no,
How would you respond?
you're a Melrose Parkian.
Oh, there you go.
You're not a Chicagoan. It's
Uh,
live in the city. The city is its own culture. To go, it's not the same thing. It's like people will be like, "You're from Chicago." I'm like, "Where are you from?" They're like, "Orland." I'm like, "He ain't from fucking Chicago, bro. He's from Orland." And my friends, they have this long-standing joke. They bust my balls because I went to high school in the suburbs, but I grew up here, and I went to high school in the suburbs. And they were like, "Oh, fucking Bob from the suburbs," and they love to bust my balls on that shit. He's like, "You met all your best friends in the suburbs." I'm like, "I did," but it doesn't mean that like when I lived there, as soon as I could get out of there, I did. I hated living there. I'm just not that guy. I don't live in the suburbs now. I pretty much my whole life have lived in a city, and the whole thing about suburban life is just not my jam at all.
all right. I guess we'll get to the last round of questioning. This one I know you have very strong opinions on, since I follow you on Facebook and I'm friends with you on there.
Sure.
The White Sox.
Die Hard.
When did you become a fan of them?
When I was 8. So I've been a White Sox fan for almost 30 years. I grew up in the neighborhood just south of the park. Like, I literally was 7 blocks from where the White Sox play.
What was the field called then?
Comiskey Park.
Oh, okay. Because I know it's called what Guaranteed Rate Park now.
It was Comiskey Park, then it was U.S. Cellular Field, and now it's Guaranteed Rate Field.
Yeah, I did make a joke with an Uber driver over a year ago when I was here. I told him like, yeah, I was gonna make some fun about that, but here in Michigan, we used to have Joe Louis Arena for the Red Wings, but now we have Little Caesars Arena with like the Little Caesars guy right on top of the building and that. So I really can't make fun.
I hate corporate branding. It's so lame.
I know, jeez.
It's so lame, and like there's literally a big down red arrow on the building. It's the worst.
It takes away history. It depersonalizes, the team and the fans and even the city is based on.
To me, it'll always be Sox Park. That's what anybody who's a true Sox fan will always call Comiskey or always call it Sox Park. Typically, always Sox Park. I'm supposed to be at a White Sox game right now, but it just didn't work out today.
Yeah, I'm sorry, man, if you felt like being on this podcast is more important than the White Sox game.
No, it just like between these dudes here, like they need to go have dinner with his mom, and I need to see my mom and stuff. And I did it big last night. I was out till like 6 o'clock in the morning, so having to be out that late, I don't have it in me to like pretend I'm a good fan today as much as I really wanted to go.
Well, here's your chance to be a good fan then, because as much as you love the Sox, you seem to hate the Cubs.
Oh, I fucking hate them.
Why do you hate the Cubs?
I don't think that their fans are real fans. It's when you go to a Sox game, everybody in that stadium is there because they love the White Sox. No one is a casual fan as a Sox fan. We live and die by that team. You go to Wrigley Field, 90% of the people in the stands are from like Iowa and shit that are there because they grew up with WGN, and they're like into it for they're like, oh, well, let's go see the Cubbies play, let's play too and have some drinks. They don't give a shit if the Cubs win or lose. They're just there to have the experience and sit in Wrigley Field in the bleachers. That's all they're there for. When the Cubs won, how many bandwagon fucking fans came on out of nowhere? Everyone was in a Cubs fan. Get out of here. Like,
well, I'm a hockey guy, so I honestly don't have a stake in it. The Wings being one of my favorites. Chicago Blackhawks, of course, love them.
yeah.
Saw them play the Flyers. They unfortunately lost.
Blackhawks?
Yep.
Yeah, I've been to a couple of Blackhawks games. When I lived here, the Blackhawks weren't a thing, though.
Oh, really?
I mean, Chicago's always been a hockey town, but they weren't on TV. They weren't on weren't on the radio. The only way you could hear a Blackhawks game is you kind of had to stumble into it. Because when Bill Wirtz was alive, they didn't put any money into him, and then when he died, his kid got it, and then they got really good because he put money into the team. And so when he put money in the team, that's when they won all those championships, and I was already gone. So for like me to get into hockey was like just not a thing. So I am just baseball and football.
Yeah, I'm of course partially into the Blackhawks because, of course, I love Chicago and I love all things about it.
Who would you pick, White Sox or Cubs then?
That's the thing. I didn't even know. Well, I didn't even know like at least the other question. When the Cubs won the World Series, were you happy or not?
Fuck no. I wore my White Sox shit and I cheered for the Indians. Fuck no was I going to cheer for the Cubs. Hell no.
That's the thing. I didn't even know what was going on since I'm not a big baseball
fan. Oh my
fan.
God. All I wanted them to do was lose. 100% all I wanted to do was lose. Like to watch them win the World Series, I wanted to throw up. I hate the Cubs so much. Like, unbelievable amount of hatred for them.
I mean, it was ecstatic. Even in Grand Rapids, where I'm from, people were celebrating it. Like, they had Cubs signs and the W, which stands for Wrigley, right?
No, it's win.
Oh, really? Oh,
they have on their scoreboard when they win, they pull up the thing and it's the white flag with the W for win. And they have a blue flag with the white for loss. And Sox fans buy the loss flag.
Wait. What? That's kind of dumb.
Fly the W, that's what they say.
Okay, I guess. All right, then. I thought it just meant Wrigley Field, but whatever.
No, it means fly the W.
All right. Okay, so obviously besides the Sox, what other sports teams are you into here in Chicago?
I'm a Bears fan, but I'm a bigger Saints fan now than I'm a Bears fan. I still love the Bears. I have to justify to this to my friends all the time. I still love the Bears. I want the Bears to win.
The Bears.
I am just a bigger Saints fan than I am a Bears fan.
Yeah, it hasn't been that bad for me, but I have gotten some glares for saying that I'm a Blackhawks fan. You know, all these diehard Red Wings fans. Like, no, it's cool. I like the Red Wings too.
Yeah, I mean,
plus I'm a casual sports fan.
Sports is the most extreme of tribalism.
Oh yeah.
Like you want your team to win, and if you're not on my team, you are a social enemy for this thing. I mean, we relegate ourselves to how we take sports fandom, but it's our tribe. It's our mile marker of what we both agree on. Like I've literally seen people almost get into fist fights and stop because they're both White Sox fans.
Oh, nice.
And like, oh man, that's cool. We're both Sox fans. Yeah, you're right. And
well, in Michigan, we have Michigan State in East Lansing, Michigan.
Yeah.
Always, whenever there's a game, win or lose, there's always a riot of some kind. Mostly like your couch burnings and all that shit. Yeah. Someone flips a really small car over.
Got hit with after eating and then not getting much sleep. I was up at 10 o'clock after going to bed at like 6.
Well, I guess it's a good thing we're nearing the end of this episode.
Yeah, I'm gonna go. My mom's like, "Yeah, what are you doing?" I'm like, "Yeah, I'm here to hang out." I'm gonna sleep on her couch.
Yeah. So this weekend, you're leaving on Monday, right?
Yeah.
So I guess you talked about your history of Chicago. You talked about how it's changed and that. But from this very weekend, what has your impressions been so far? Because
it's been good to be home. I mean, I'm always happy to get the food, get to see people, drink some old styles. I didn't have anybody trying to shove Malort down my throat. That shit is disgusting. No, it was great, and like just seeing people and getting to be back. I mean, I always love coming home. I'm proud to be from here, and I like getting right back in the mix. So yesterday I was on the L, and I get right back into my old habits as soon as I'm here. So to be a part of it again, it's cool. I mean, I'm going to be in sheer terror because I hate flying. Tomorrow when I'm on my plane, I'm going to be like white-knuckling it drunk, but I can't help it. I hate flying. And I'm already like thinking about it today. I woke up and I was like, fuck, I have to fly.
And oh shit, I gotta be on that one podcast. Fuck.
No, I love doing these. But no, it was great to be home, and I got a beef sandwich, which was always amazing. I love Italian beef. Now I got one last thing I got to do before I leave, and I got to go hit Sub City by my mom's house.
Well, sir, you can go do that. Because, yep, I'm glad, as always, I'm glad to stay overnight or visit Chicago. I had fun last night, and I'm glad to have met you, Robert D.
Yeah, thank you. It's a pleasure to be here.
Yep.
It's a pleasure to hang out, and thank you for the cheeseburger.
Yep, no problem, man. All right, so anything you would like to promote? Any upcoming books? Any readings?
I'm trying to think what I got anything coming up. I don't have any readings coming up, but you can always find me on Instagram at Robert Dean with 2 N's, at Robert Dean on Twitter, and then on Facebook I have a page, Robert Dean. You can find me on there, and lots of people talking. It's a very strong community of people that
you do
come at.
You do have a pretty good stream of original content and memes.
Yeah, I try to keep people talking and thinking and engaged, because when you do content marketing, you just got to keep generating things that people let you keep that you're in, they want to give a shit about you. People want to give a shit about things. You have to do the work to make them care. And so I just try to engage with people, and I'm like, look, if you want to get together, I'll always get together. And I always try to make time to do stuff. And in terms of things coming out, I got a big piece about Leonard Peltier, political prisoner, that I'm trying to sell right now. That's 6,000 words, so it's a feature. So I just pitched it to Playboy. I don't know if they're going to take it.
Nice.
But
there's always hustle.
yeah, that'd be cool. But I'm trying to place that one, and I've got some new stuff probably for Fatherly soon. I am also about to start writing for Consequence of Sound, so they'll be able to find me there.
Very nice.
Yeah, that one is as of this week. Varsity Music always, and hopefully my book, A Hard Roll, will see the light of day sometime soon. I think I'm getting close to getting an agent, so.
All right, very nice, and best of luck to all.
Thanks, man. I appreciate it.
Yep, and thank you for being on. Robert Dean, ladies and gentlemen, and thank you for listening. Once again, you can download and listen to episodes on the Internet Archive. You can stream them on YouTube, and forget Podbean and some of the other places I mentioned. I would have to pay to put episodes on there, so I'm still finding free services to put this show on. All right, everyone, have a good day. Thanks for listening, and here's the outro song.